Hi there, welcome to Transco Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Surveyor 305Rlbs. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice right at the back at the top there, you do have your observation camera that you're pre-mounted and pre-wired for, as well as your Lippert collapsible stair system. So you can periodically get up to your roof, check all your seals, and double check that those solar panels are nice and clean for a good charge. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, you can contact your parts department and they'd be more than happy to put together a quote for you. Also located at the back is going to be the control for your rear stabilizer jacks. You do have electric stabilizer jacks on this unit, front and rear. They work the same way. You're just hitting that extend button. The feet are going to start making their way down. Once the feet contact the ground, you're going to hear the motors wind up and click. Just keep it in mind they are stabilizing jacks. They're not leveling jacks. Don't try and use them like leveling jacks, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them. Sometimes the feet could come down at different paces just because it's an open gear system. So if it starts doing that, don't panic, just let it do its thing. You hear that wind up like so. That's how you know you're fully extended. It's going to take any bounce or sway you would have had in the unit away. And then to retract, it is just the same thing. Hold the retract button, the feet are going to start making their way up. Once the feet contact the bottom of the trailer, you can let off the button. Like I said, they do both work the same way. And there you go. You also have your 2-inch receiver. That does have only about a 250-pound loading, a 250-pound load capacity. So whenever you're using that, realistically, it's just for a bike rack. Got your spare tire located at the back. Then coming around the driver's side of the unit, right up at the top here, this is your range hood flap. Always wanting to make sure when you get to your campsite, opening up the flap, that way you can evacuate those fumes as you need to. And then whenever you're traveling, snapping that back into place, that way you're not getting any excess dust inside the unit. Got your furnace exhaust, so whenever your furnace is running, that will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Then you do have your standard 50 amp twist lock connection. Today, we do have the adapter on here. You are going to have an adapter come with your trailer. You're just taking note of that silver strip there. It lines up with this silver strip on this side, and that pushes and locks into place. Now, typically, if you would have pulled your power cord off, you would have had a 50 amp plug-in. Now, a lot of campsites may not have 50 amp service here in Manitoba, which is why we would include one of these 30 amp adapters. But keep it in mind, when you're going down to 30 amps of power, you'll only be able to run one air conditioner at a time and not the two that you do have equipped in this unit. So just be mindful of that. And we also include a 15 amp park adapter to go down from 30. Whenever you're using that, realistically, you're just running your lights and your fridge. That's going to be it. Cable satellite inlets in case you were hooking any of that up. Then you have your black tank flush. So the way that works is if you're getting false monitor panels inside the unit, or you're just noticing an odor, you do have to read the caution sticker because it does state if you're using this, you have to make sure that your black tank valve is open and your sewer hose is connected, of course. And the reason being is if you're pushing pressure inside the tank and the pressure has nowhere to go, you just want to, it's going to expand the tank to the point of cracking. So you want to make sure that that valve is open so you can stop that. City water connection, so if you're at a site with service, you can thread a garden hose in there, turn it on, pressurizes all those lines without the needing to run your water pump. And then right down below the floor, you got your galley tank exit. So that is just for your kitchen sink, nothing else. That's how you would empty that. And then you got your gray valve for your your bathroom and your shower and everything. And then you got this black valve, which is gonna be your dirtiest water. It is gonna be the water you're gonna wanna empty first as it's the dirtiest. Then you can come behind that with your two other ones and that's filled from your toilets. Pretty standard, taking that cap, giving it a twist, pulling it off. You're just taking note of the ears on either side. Your sewer hose will have the same ones, and they click and lock into place. And you'd be ready to empty out. Now, just a little bit further ahead, you're gonna notice it has a sticker here. You get your 2 low point drains. So if you're at a site with if you don't want your water going stale or stagnant, you're just gonna wanna crack those guys open. It's gonna try and drain as much water out of the lines as possible. You got your outside storage compartment. Now these are keyed locks, so they aren't 751 keys. They are just your standard door key. Nice little feature. You got a bunch of different accessories that come inside with this, including that power cord. You got your griddle top as well as your griddle, the topper for it. You got your fresh water connection. So if you're out boondocking or your campsite doesn't have water, turn that off, put a garden hose in there, turn it on, and that is what's gonna fill your fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. And the drain for the fresh tank is just this little valve here. Cracking that guy open like it is now would drain all the water outside of the tank. Furnace exhaust, or hot water exhaust. So whenever your hot water heater is running, this is going to be blowing out hot air, so be mindful of that. You've got your power switch in the top left corner that does supply power to the thermostat that runs inside. And then you got your pressure relief valve. So a couple notes, we're going to go over the water heater quickly. If you've had a camper before this and you did the winterizing yourself, you're going to probably remember having a tanked heater, and they would have bypass valves at the back when it came time to winterization that you turned so that you don't get any antifreeze into the system. Well, this is the complete opposite. If there's bypass valves behind it, which there probably isn't, you don't turn them, you leave them in the way they are all the time, running antifreeze through the system, of course, with it being off. And then once you're done your winterization process completely, cracking this pressure relief valve and leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter. That way, when that antifreeze starts expanding and gelling up during those cold Manitoba months, it has a place to go and doesn't crack inside the copper. Whenever you're locking this back into place, just making sure this rubber gasket falls back into place nice. It's not sitting all wonky where it's going to burn or anything. Coming around the front, battery disconnect switch right at the front here with it in the on position like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn it to the off position, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. And it is an added note, if you have that disconnect switch in the off position, it does disable the 12-volt system inside. So if you ever get your camper and you can't get any lights on, it's probably going to be that switch because the 12-volt system is disabled. Battery's located inside this box here. And then you got this nice cover here. Loosening these tabs off on the top, that'll allow you to unlock the top of this propane cover. And most of the times, you're gonna get what you need done just from right up top here, but for the purpose of the video, get it off, you just pull it up nice and gently, slides right off. You got two standard barbecue style propane tanks. They won't both work the same way. You got your selector valve right at the front here on top of your regulator. With it pointed this way, you'll be drawing off this tank. If this tank were to go dry, turning this tank off, flipping this regulator over to this side, you can start running off that tank counterclockwise like any standard barbecue to turn on the flow of propane. And now you have propane flow into the unit, tongue jack right up front, manual override at the top. Opening up this guy here, you're gonna notice right beside, you got that front stabilizer jack control. And inside here, you got your standard starter kit, which we included. It comes with a 10-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, the 15-amp park adapter, which I've told you about, and some other miscellaneous goodies. And then you got your little porta hose, they call it. So this is any standard garden hose end, so you could thread any end on there in case this one doesn't suit your style that you wanted. Threading that on there. And then take this end, which has a notch on either side of it, pulling this guy down. You're just gonna line up the two notches, push, twist, locks into place, hot and cold water, sprayable anywhere you want. Then you also have a couple little tools here. Bringing these guys down. You're gonna have some holes in the side of the unit. Now I'm not sure which one it is right this second. Looking through the hole, you're gonna tell it's this one. This is what's gonna go into this hole here with the slot in the end. Line up with the corresponding shaft on the other side of the hole. That's on the side of the frame. Once you line the two up, it'll allow you to manually override the slide out in case the slide out system were to fail for whatever reason. Just keeping in mind when you are using this, there's going to be a lot of tension on it, so it might be a little difficult to turn. And then at the inside this compartment, really nice feature, they do include a little light. And then turning this light on the switch here, turned on some nice accent lighting at the front of the trailer. Great little feature to spice up your campsite a little bit, show off to your friends. That's going to be it for inside there. It is a motion sensing light, so it'll automatically turn itself off. You've got your rail here. Now this is where you would be mounting your exterior griddle. Whenever you do mount that, running it down, you got your propane quick connect line here, pulling the cap off, pull back on the collar, of course, and it'll allow you to insert that quick connect line like any standard airline, opening up the flow of propane. You could then light your griddle. As an added safety feature, this is locked with the flow of propane open, so you always have to make sure the flow is closed. Now to get inside, you're just taking this assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees. It's going to then lock into place. That'll allow you to open up your door. Once your door is open, you can then fold down your stairs, sliding that like so, pulling it towards you. The door does have to be fully open. Stairs are going to start coming down towards you. You got adjustable camp feet, so you can adjust into these different notches, so you can have nice stairs. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher. It's just like home, pull the pin and shoot. On the wall here, it's your main kind of control area. You got your awning LED strip lights, your porch light, some interior living space lights, so that once you get in here, if it's dark, you can see what you're doing at least. Then you do have some accent lighting or mood lighting. And then of course you have all the rest of your controls. So you do have two awnings on this unit. They do both work the same way. You just kind of have to hit the extend button. They're going to start rolling their way out. Once they're at their full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Whenever you're putting the awning out, always keep an eye on wind speeds. So once the winds start picking up and that starts flapping around, it doesn't take much to rip your fabric or bend your arms, so always keep that in mind. So you see that flap starting to hang down in the back of the metal tube, so you're at your full extension. Now sometimes that flap can get stuck, so if you see the back of the metal tube and no flap, sometimes you just have to retract it a little bit to allow that flap to hang down, and then you can try putting it back out again for it to roll out. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now, of course, if you like that angle better, because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the rear arm, just making sure you do push the bolt back to straight before you bring it in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And whenever you're bringing these awnings in, just keeping an eye on it, making sure they're rolling the right way in. Hit the retract button. Once the awning arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors are going to automatically cut out. Another thing to keep in mind with the awning, if it were to start raining, water's starting to pool up more aggressively than you'd like, or the wind starts picking up and you bring the awning in while it's wet, just at your next most earliest convenience, once it stops raining, to let that roll that back out to allow it to dry off. That way you're not accelerating the growth of mold or mildew. Extends the longevity of the fabric as well. And there you go. The front awning is going to work the same way, of course, just making sure you have room to put out both before you put them out. Now you got your slide out controls, two separate buttons, and then of course the front bedroom is going to have its own button, which we'll go over once we get in there. Whenever you're operating any slide out, goes for any of them, always making sure you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. The reason I say inside is sometimes during travel things do tend to shift, so always try and either take a look to make sure nothing's going to block those slide outs from going out, or if you can't, because sometimes slide outs do stop the ability for you to be able to go inside and take a look, just keeping an eye on it and listening for any weird noises, because again, it doesn't take much to cause any damage. And then of course on the outside, just making sure you have enough room to put them all the way out without them hitting anything. But it's pretty simple. You hit the extend button, the awning's going to start slide out's going to start making its way out. Once it's at its full extension, you're going to hear the motors wind up and click. There you go, you heard the motors click. Now, just before I do run the other slide outs, a good way to double check that your slide out is in its full extension is just making sure that you do got that seal there, stopping any water from protruding into the inside. You can do the same thing with that back, second slide out, kitchen slide, and whenever you are running your slides, when it's convenient, always making sure that you do full strokes with the slide out, so either take it all the way out or all the way in. That's the best way to do it for extending the longevity of life with the gears and the motors. Of course, it doesn't hurt to do it the other way. It's just not recommended. Up top, you got your solar controller, a bunch of different settings you can get really into depth to. I'm going to recommend going over the owner's manual to go over them. We do have it currently set up for your basic charging needs. If there's sun outside hitting that panel, it's going to be applying a charge to your front battery. We are going to start in the bedroom. Light switch on the little dresser area. Then you got that last slide out control. Works the same way. Of course, just always making sure you know what your slide, where your slide out's going. Light switch, slide out control. Taking a step into the bedroom, you're going to notice we got some solar panels this customer opted to go with laying on the bed. Of course, face down, and always making sure they're safe. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. One quick retract to retract them back up. Nice little window. Dresser space, tons of storage. Going for all the storage throughout this unit. This unit does have tons of storage. It's great. Always just being mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring whenever you're using it, as you don't want to damage anything or cause any problems. Fireplace, power button on the far right. Then you got your different rock light color, or the different flame colors with the button to the left of it. And then you got your different rock light colors and different modes you can go through, change colors, all sorts of different things. And then on the far two in from the far left, you got your different heat options. You have to push it twice to go into low, one more time to go into high. Then you got your timer that goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Power button on the right to turn it back off. Awesome little desk space. Comes with this nice little chair for if your significant other is doing makeup or any sort of other thing. Just always making sure before you bring the slide out in, the chair's tucked in all the way. That way you're not causing any damage, causing that chair to slide along the floor. And now you're going to notice a lot of sliding doors throughout here. These doors don't hold their own, so always be mindful of these travel straps. If you unhook it, it'll allow you to slide the door back and forth. Great for when you're camping, but when you are traveling, always triple checking you got your travel straps strapped. If these doors aren't strapped in, it's going to allow them to swing freely, and truly it does cause a lot of damage whenever they do swing freely. They're going to come right off the hinge, could cause some damage to walls. So again, just being mindful of these travel straps. You are pre-plumbed for a washer dryer for this unit. If you'd like to get set up with that, again, just contact your parts department. It's going to eliminate some shelf space, but if it's something you'd like to get set up with, just letting them know and they'll put together a quote for you. Closet space, awesome closet space, huge. You got lights inside, of course, and then you are going to notice again just the travel strap locking it in. You also have more storage underneath the bed. You're just having to pick up the foot of the bed. I'm not going to lift it up all the way because we got those solar panels on there, but if you lift it up, you're going to notice we got some more accessories down below here, and they do come it does come into the access of the outside compartment over there into the bathroom. Light switch is on your left. Turning that on, right up at the top, you got your Furrion little roof vent. Pulling that down to unlock it, and it'll allow you to turn that clockwise to open up your vent lid. Opening that up all the way, you get your different fan speeds in this corner here. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 being the highest setting, 1 being the lowest setting. Once you have that vent lid all the way up, if you were to start traveling and forgot this up, you do run the risk of damaging the lid. And of course, if it were to start raining in here, if it's going to start raining outside, it's going to get wet inside here. We do sell max air covers that go over top of this. It's a great little addition for your camper. If you'd like to get set up with that, you contact our parts department, but that will allow you to leave that open regardless of your situation. It's not going to cause any damage or get wet in here. Close it counterclockwise. Once it's already closed, just like an 1/8 turn to snug it up. Pushing that in locks it so it won't flap open during travel. Other than that, your standard bathroom, toilet, On the wall here now, of course, you are going to have your main GFI plug. All the plugs are hooked up through GFI in this unit. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look, just making sure it's not tripped. You got test on the bottom, reset in the middle. Heated tank system. Now, this isn't adequate for Manitoba camping in the winter. It's for extended camping season, but realistically, just keep in mind, if you're going camping anywhere below -0, you do run the risk of water freezing and cracking things. So this is going to help majorly, but it isn't a foolproof system because it is just heating pads strapped onto the bottom of the tanks. Next, you got your monitor panel system. So if you push the fresh, it's going to tell you the corresponding level, and it goes for the rest of the tanks. Gray 2 is going to be galley. Gray 1 is going to be the main gray. And you got your fresh, your black. Battery, low, fair, good, and charging. Water pump, turning that on, draws from your fresh tank. Then you got your water heater switch. So you do, once you turn the switch on outside, you have to turn this switch on, which will then allow you to turn this on. Up or down to change the set temperature. Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. Turn that back off just with that switch there. Right down below, storage. Again, just be mindful of draining water lines. Nice little medicine cabinet on the back. Behind, lovely camera guy here. Got a nice hook system for any jackets or anything you wanted to hang up. Sweet little feature they threw in there. Stepping into the main living space. Right down below, pushing this. It's going to fold that down. It's your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it is going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses on the right. Now, I did forget to show you something in the bedroom, so we'll just take a step back there for a quick second. On the wall, you get your first thermostat. This is for this front air conditioner. It is only for the front air conditioner. Set it on the cool setting. If you have the fan speed on low, it's going to run on a low fan, and it is going to run continuously. Doesn't matter what you have the room set to, the fan's going to still keep on running. Same thing on a high fan, but now you get that A. Whenever it's in A, it becomes an on-demand system. So if the room's set for 22 and it's 22 inside here, it's not going to run the air conditioner. But let's say the room is going to jump up to 24. It will then kick in the air conditioner to bring the room back down to 22, which is why I always recommend leaving that on A. You can change that and run your fan, just your fan, just to move air around using the air conditioner. Whenever you're using that, you can either run these louvers closed, in which case it'll move its air through the ceiling ducting we have throughout the whole unit, or open these here to dump all the air into the main living space. So if you're sleeping at night, you have a nice little feature you might want to use. Maybe it's a little too intense. That's up to you. Then dry, it's just a dehumidifying mode to try and take as much moisture out of the air as possible. The heat isn't actually hooked up to anything. The heat is going to run through your thermostat at the back here, your main thermostat, which is why we will then now come to this. Pushing it once, illuminates itself, pushing it again. Get to your different options. So you got heat. Turning that on. Turns on the furnace. You hear that kick in. Set to 36 or at 24, it's going to start running. It does only have one fan speed, runs continuously. Now, turning it off, just going over to the off button, hit that off. It's now going to kill the furnace, but the furnace does run for an additional 3 minutes just to allow itself to cool down. So just keep that in mind. If it doesn't turn off right away, it's totally normal. Down here, we do have a central vac system. Check the bag, pull on that, slide it over. You have the bag back here. Now we do sell more of these here at the shop, and if we don't have them in stock, we can definitely order them. Just contact your parts department to get set up with that. Locking that back into place, you can slide this over. Now you can insert your tool, turn it on. You're going to start sucking. They have a little dustpan system, they call it. Whatever you put in front of there, it's going to suck up. Now just keep it in mind, it is mainly for dirt, gravel, dust. It's not for sticks or anything like that, because everything that gets sucked into there goes into the bag, right? So just keeping in mind what you're putting inside there. A little spice rack down below, which I thought was kind of cool. Maybe shot glasses, who knows? Tons of storage all around the unit. Hooks up here for anything you'd want to hook up. Storage again. Now on the wall, you're going to notice this guy. Oh, cover came off. This is the controller for your rear air conditioner. Now, it's going to be totally a personal preference as to which one you're going to run. Again, if you're on a 50 amp service, you can run both at the same time and totally good. But if you are only on a 30 amp service, which is the 3-prong style plug, not the 4, you can only run one at a time. It's going to be a total personal preference. You got controls on here in case this were to die or you lost it, or all the controls are on here. Turning it on opens itself up, starts. This air conditioner is really fancy. Everything happens to the remote, all your different settings. It's pretty much just like home. There's not really too much to explain. It even has a turbo mode, which kicks into a really high fan. Turning it off, turns that off, and it also additionally closes that vent. Definitely helps for stop getting dust inside of there. And you can leave that wherever you want or hook it onto the wall so you don't lose it. I would definitely lose it. Towel rack on the side of the island so that you can hang any towels. Sink, hot, cold water, of course. Storage all down below. Now you're going to notice this little foot piece. It's onto there like so, and if you pick it up, it turns into a little lifting spot. Awesome little thing Surveyor threw in this year. I love it. But if you move it around, it's fine. It's not going to scratch your floor. But if the slide outs are coming in, it has to be exactly where it is now. Otherwise, the slide outs are going to run it into something and cause a whole bunch of damage to either the slide out or this, which we don't want. So always just making sure that you keep this here whenever you're running the slide outs in or out. Now, because this unit is equipped with propane, we got our LP detector right behind our camera guy here. Right here near the floor. If this guy ever starts going off, you're just getting worrisome levels inside. So your oxygen levels inside. You're going to want to turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit. Open up some windows and vents to get some fresh oxygen inside of here. And it's also very sensitive to cleaning chemicals. So let's say you're spraying a harsh chemical around it on the floor or on the island. Don't panic. It could just be that. Use your best judgment. If you have something propane running, maybe just closing off the tank, silence it, open up some windows and vents. But again, just use your best judgment. Next, we got our kitchen space. It's a beautiful spot. Fridge and freezer. They are on to open up the doors. You don't just pull, you do have to push in, and that'll allow you to open up each. Controls for the freezer are up top. Obviously, optimal is going to be the most optimum energy efficient setting. There's also a little super freeze area there. Now down below, you got your controls. Pretty standard. Pushing the power button for 3 seconds is going to turn it off. You're going to notice this off grid. So this is a 12 volt fridge, so it will run off 12 volt. That's going to be the most optimum energy efficient setting to run it on if you're running off battery power. Hitting this little button here will change you between those settings as well. Whenever you're traveling, just double checking your fridge is fully latched into place. That way those doors aren't trying to open and close. Bottle opener right beside the stove. Got your microwave right up top. Storage beside it. Pretty much just like home, not much I'm going to show you there. Now coming to your stove, this is glass. Always being careful with it when you're flipping it back. And noticing in the back here, you got a nice spot for knives in case you want to put those there. And Surveyor does include a little fancy cup. Flipping this back, again, being mindful that it's glass. Whenever you're running your stove, always recommend running your range hood. That way you are evacuating those propane fumes as necessary. Keeps it nice and fresh inside of here as well. To get the stove to light, it's pretty simple, but before I go over it, I'm going to go over a couple notes about propane. If you've turned the propane system off and have had it off for a while, and even worse, even more, if you've disconnected the bottle, it does allow air into the system. Once air gets into the system, obviously the air has to be purged out. Now, the quickest, easiest way to do that is using your stove, because you can run it yourself and monitor it. If you were to try to fire up your furnace or your water heater before you purged anything, there is a chance that you're going to get a fault code, because those only try lighting themselves a couple times. If you don't know what that fault code means, it could throw some frustration into your weekend, which we try to avoid. So always recommend running up that stove first thing, just quickly. You got oven light with illumination knobs. You can also just run the illumination knobs if you prefer. To get it to light, pushing it in, holding it over to the high option, and hitting the sparker. It did fire up pretty quick today. I did have the propane system running earlier. Now, whenever you push this in and turn this over, you're always going to want to keep hitting the sparker every few seconds. That way you don't have any buildup of gas, because if the gas were to build up, you hit the sparker, there could be a small combustion, and there's a possibility you could lose some eyebrows if you're not careful. So always just holding your face away whenever you're doing it, and just hitting the igniter every few seconds like so. That way you're not going to get any buildup of gas in case it were to happen. And it does fire up just like so. Down below you got your stove. Now the stove does take even longer to light sometimes if there's air in the system, just because the gas surface is so small for the pilot. Turning it over to the pilot option, pushing and holding the knob in. Holding it in for a few seconds, and again just hitting that spark every few seconds. And eventually, as you're seeing right now, there's air in the system, so it's just being purged out slowly. There you go. You get that pilot light down there. Once you can hold its own, you let off the knob. It holds its own. You can turn it up to your desired temperature then, and it does fire right on up. Then, of course, turning it back off, closing this up, fold down your cover. Always making sure you allow this time to cool off, of course, first. You got a little pantry space over here. Again, motion sensing lights. All the motion sensing lights work the same way. When they're on their number 2 options, it's the motion sensing. If you have it on the number 1, it's going to run on full time, but on number 2, it's motion sensing, and in the middle, it's obviously off. Tons of storage space throughout this unit. Can't say it more. Entertainment area, storage up top, of course. You got your TV, soundbar, pretty much just like home, just nice the zones. Zone 1 is your interior speakers, this guy right here. Zone 2 will be the 2 exterior speakers you have outside. Right down below, you got your fireplace. It's going to work the same way as the style inside the bedroom. You got your fire exit at the back here. Pulling on this red tab, it's going to pop that screen right out of place. At that point, you can't take this, push this, and hop right out and hop on out of the unit. Now you got your stove. You got your couch. Pretty slick couch system. You're gonna see it's an ease open sofa. So you're just picking up on the foot. It's gonna allow that whole thing to pop out. You can then fold down this bar here. Got a little headboard, nice and soft. Just put your cushion, your blankets and stuff on there. You're good to go. Of course, just making sure you do fold that back up again. Then you can grab the foot of the couch, and it's just as easy to put it back into place. Then you can take your back cushion and put them back into place. It's a great little addition in case you're going to have some unexpected guests. Charging on either side of the couch as well as plugins. You got your recliners here. Folding down the middle cushion. Gives you a little charging cell phone pad. I thought that was also pretty cool. Lots of cool features with this one. Again, blinds all sit the same way, and you're going to find lots of accent lighting throughout. They are just on their own center push buttons. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.